Hello, this is David Shreeve, Algebra 2 instructor with Florida Virtual School. We're going to be going over this something that I've had quite a few questions on, and this is relative to the Unit 5 Quadratics Activity. And mostly I'm going to be kind of helping with, for one, getting that image into our GeoGebra. We'll also look at how we can export that image from GeoGebra, get it into our Word document. And I'm also going to go over a little bit about the way we manipulate some values in general form to come up with that equation for the parabola that we get. So I've got my GeoGebra open here. You can see I've just written down the general form of an equation over here, but when I open my GeoGebra, default it opens something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and change it around just a bit. As you can see here, I have a move graphics view. That allows me to kind of move the graph around a bit. I'm also going to right click on the screen, and you can see I have the option to show axes and grid, and I'm going to go ahead and make it show the grid lines there. That's going to make it a little easier for me to determine what the vertex is when I insert this image of the parabola in. Now, obviously, we need an image, so what I would do, just go to your Internet Explorer or Firefox, whatever browser it is that you're using, and if you search for something general like parabolas in real life, the Google search results will actually, you could look at the regular results or you could look at images. Typically, some images will come up there for you. Some of the popular ones are McDonald's arches. I see a lot of students use that. I'm going to be using basically a little flashlight image that I downloaded from the internet. So when we do have our image, save it to our desktop. This ABC here, the default is to insert text. We don't want to insert text, but there's a little drop down arrow here in the corner. We can drop that, and you see one of your options here. Say, hey, we want to insert an image on there. Well, that's exactly what we want to do. Now, when I select insert image, you see my cursor turns and looks like a large addition sign. Now, wherever I click on the screen, that is going to position the image. It's basically going to put the bottom left corner of the image wherever I click. So for my particular image, I'm going to click here to start. Now we're going to be able to adjust the positioning of this image after we put it in. So I'm just going to click here around the coordinates -1, -1. And it does open it up, and here you see I have a picture, and it says flashlight parabola. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, and that's what the image looks like. Just an image of a flashlight that's kind of, it looks like it's laying on a wall or a floor or something like that. Now, first off, this is covering up everything that I need to see, all of my coordinates and everything. So I'm going to right click the image and go down here to Object Properties. Once I go to Object Properties over here at Style, or I'm sorry, Color, we could change the opacity, which is I guess I would consider it the translucency of it. So I'm going to change that to around 50. That allows me to see through the image, and I can see exactly the placement of the parabola. Well, this parabola, if I'm thinking of the vertex, I would like my vertex to be on some regular integers, not some decimals or fractions or anything like that. So remember, the placement of the image is relative to the coordinates of this left-hand corner. So if I think, well, I could get this parabola down here, I would just need to move it down just a tiny bit. So we need to think of moving up and down. Those are my y coordinates. So if I change this y coordinate that is currently -1 to around, say, -1.25, I might get that parabola down. And your image may be different. So once again, we're going to right click. We're going to go to Object Properties, and then where it says Position, it says, okay, well, here's your corner. It's at -1, -1. Well, I want to drop it down, so I'm going to click here by the y value. I'm just going to drop that down to about 1.25. Okay, so let's close that. Now that dropped it down for me. It's still not exactly on there, but it's going to be really close. So I'm going to go ahead and put a point there. It says right here, new point. I'm just going to put a new point right there, and I'm going to say that that is the coordinates of my vertex. Now, I can have the coordinates actually listed by it. If I just right-click the point, go to Object Properties, where it says Show Label here, you see the value gives you the coordinates. I'm going to use this drop-down arrow and say I just want the value of that point next to it. So now it tells me my coordinates, 2, 0. So now I know that my coordinates here are 2, 0. Now that is my vertex. Now based on this, we might have to play around, and I showed you here. Let me show you again. That's that general form, okay? Now the vertex is h, k. In this case, my y value of my vertex is 0, so this one might be pretty easy for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in general form y equals. Now for a, I'm just going to start with a 1 value of a, and we're going to have to change that here probably, but open parentheses x minus h. Now my h value here for the vertex is 2, so x minus 2. Then I'm going to go outside of the parentheses there and use my caret and then squared, and I'm going to hit enter. Now that's pretty close really to where I want to be, and I'm going to kind of center this in a bit. Alright, that's pretty close to where I want to be as far as the parabola, but if you look, I'm probably need it to be a bit wider. So we need to know, well, what kind of a value do I need? If I use a values larger than 1, we'll notice the parabola is going to get more narrow, and if I use values less than 1, I'll be able to widen the parabola. So let's try that. So y equals, and let's say, let's just start with 1/2. That's a pretty good fraction to start with there. So I'm going to put that in parentheses and open parentheses again. X minus my x coordinate of the vertex, which is 2. Then caret 2 for squared. And I hit enter. Now you can see that that's widened it out a bit. Now I got pretty lucky there because the first one that I put in there, okay, happened to just be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and delete this other one. So the very first one I put in there happened to really hit it pretty perfectly. But if it did not end up working out that way for you, then you would want to try a few different values. Try 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, and you'll notice the larger that denominator gets, the wider that parabola will go. All right. Also keep in mind, a lot of students say if they use the McDonald's arch, as I said, is one of the popular ones. Well, that parabola is pointing down. So when we have a parabola pointing down, remember our a value that we put in is going to have to be negative. All right. But this looks like a pretty good job of getting the parabola right on there for us. But let me show you how to get this into your Word document now. I'm going to go to File and then Export, Graphics View to Clipboard. I'll show you the steps again. It's File, Export, and then Graphics View to Clipboard. I'm just going to click that, and you can see the circle there indicating that it's working and trying to save that to my clipboard. I'm going to open up my Microsoft Word, and right here you have a paste option. If you have an older version of Word, you could just use Control V to paste, but I'm just going to use this paste option here. So I click that paste button, and then it puts my parabola right in there. Then of course down here underneath you would want to go ahead and enter all the rest of the answers to the questions on the activity. But hope this helps. Again, if you do run into any trouble, just let me know. I'm always happy to help.